What's a story, amigos? This is Kino with some cool stories for today's story time.
First, Jason Alexander reads a story about something scary in the cellar.
Loud thumping and crunching sounds came from below.
Then it's a story about 3 little mice who want to find out what's at the top of the stairs.
We want to see the dark at the top of the stairs. Or we'll climb up there on our own, said Hazel.
Our last story is about a very dark night in the barn. Something pinged on the metal roof. Something gave a spooky tap, tap, tap. Then something made the scariest sound of all.
Storytime is made possible by Bill Grant from Helen and Peter Bain, so that families everywhere can share the joy of reading with their children. Okay, a little to the right, Kino. You can get it.
I can't jump quite high enough. Oh, brother.
Here, let me try.
Yeah, okay.
What are you reaching for?
Oh, we're just trying to get that book up there. See, it's the one about camping.
This one?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you going camping?
Yeah.
Kino really wants to. He's never been camping before.
Yep. And we're practicing tonight in my backyard. We got sleeping bags and everything.
Wow. Well, won't you be scared?
Scared?
Scared? No way. We're not scared of anything.
Yeah.
Not even Komodo dragons? They can be very scary.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Lucy. Hi, John.
Hi, Mr. Alexander. What's a Komodo dragon, anyway?
Well, I think you'll understand it a little better if I just read this story, okay?
Yeah, sure.
It's called Turnip Soup. It's written by Lynn and Christopher Myers with pictures by Katie Keller. And it goes like this. One afternoon in late summer, George stepped outside to pick up the evening newspaper, the Beaufort Bugle. He paused to read the headline. Komodo dragon escapes Rupert's reptile house. Treat dragon with caution, Rupert warns. Oh, my gosh, George cried, and raced inside to tell his mother. Mom, watch out. There's a dragon on the loose, George shouted as he ran into the kitchen. I'll keep my eyes peeled, George's mom promised. But now I have to make potato soup. Please go down to the root cellar and get me 6 potatoes. George stood at the top of the root cellar stairs. Very large, muddy tracks led down into the murky shadows. Loud thumping and crunching sounds came from below. Mom, that dragon I mentioned is down in our root cellar. Wasn't there a monster down there last week? Not like this one. Well, you'll just have to get rid of it, George's mom said. And while you're at it, don't forget those potatoes for my potato soup. Well, said George, if you say so. George took one step down the stairs to the root cellar. A gnawed potato sailed past his head. Shoo! George yelled, but nothing happened. Mom, I need a weapon, and I think the dragon has eaten all the potatoes. Can we have carrot soup instead? If you'd rather have carrot soup, that's fine with me, but you'll have to get me a dozen carrots. What about the weapon? Here, George's mom said, and she handed him the egg beater. Thanks, Mom. George took 5 slow steps into the root cellar. right, Dragon. I have an egg beater. Don't make me use it, he called. In a shaft of sunlight, George saw an enormous, scaly tail scattering carrots and half-eaten potatoes across the cellar floor. Mom, the carrots are out. How about zucchini soup? Oh, fine, fine. Just get me some vegetables. I need a shield. The dragon's much bigger than I thought. Take this. George's mom handed him the lid to the roasting pan. He may be a fire breather, George said. Take my oven mitt, his mom said, so you can hold the shield if it gets too hot. Yeah, thanks, Mom. George crept 10 steps down the cellar stairs. The dragon's head was buried in a bushel of zucchini. Ugh! George exclaimed at the sight of the dragon's huge, knobby body. The dragon froze. Then ever so slowly, it swung its head around, bushel and all, and took one heavy step toward George. Sorry, Mom. The dragon got the zucchini. Oh, for Pete's sake, George, aren't you overdoing this? I can't help it, Mom. This is one hungry dragon. Okay. Get me some mushrooms, and I'll make mushroom soup. I'll need a helmet, George said. Take my mixing bowl, she answered. George boldly descended to the very bottom step. The dragon was reaching for the mushrooms on the top shelf. The shelf teetered, rocked, and then fell with a tremendous crash. Cucumbers bounced. Tomatoes squashed. Beets rolled. Jam splattered. Flour flew everywhere. Mom, the only food left in the cellar is a bag of turnips. I guess we'll have to have turnip soup. But you don't even like turnip soup, she said. Oh, I am putting a stop to this nonsense. I'll go with you this time. You'll need armor, George said. I'm dragon-proof, she replied. I'm not sure I am, said George. Here, put these cookie sheets under your shirt, and we'll go get some vegetables. George's mom gaped at the cellar. What a mess! George, what have you been... Then she saw the Komodo dragon. The big beast lay against a burlap bag. It clutched 3 turnips in one scaly foot, and the dragon gnashed its jagged teeth. As she grabbed George's hand and they retreated up the cellar stairs, she whispered, "Let's just call out for pizza." The end.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
There really was a dragon in the cellar.
Yeah, there sure was.
Yeah, his mom didn't believe him.
Well, you know that Komodo dragons are real, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, not like the dragons in fairy tales.
Yeah.
They're very large lizards, and they live in Indonesia, which is far, far away from here.
Well, I don't think any Komodo dragons are gonna bother us while we're camping tonight, so it won't be scary at all.
And we'll have my lantern for company.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another book here about something a bit scary that happened to some mice.
Should I read it?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll trade you that one. This is called The Dark at the Top of the Stairs. It's written by Sam McBratney, and it's illustrated by Ivan Bates.
Uh-oh.
There was once a wise old mouse who lived with his young mice in the corner of a cellar. Every day, the old mouse liked to do something interesting with his young mice. "What should we do tomorrow?" he said one bedtime, for the young mice were getting ready to sleep, and he wanted them to look forward to the morning. "I would like to see the dark at the top of the stairs," said a young mouse whose name was Cobb. "Me too," said his sister Hazel, snuggling into the warmth. "I want to see the dark at the top of the stairs."
And so do I, said little Berry, the youngest of the three. We've never been to the top of the big dark stairs where the monster lives.
Well, the old mouse thought for a while. It was true that he had not taken his young mice up the cellar stairs. Then he said, "What about a walk to the acorn tree in the garden? Or a visit to your cousins in the cornfield? We could even have a swing on the seed heads of the long grass."
No, said Cobb. We want to see the dark at the top of the stairs.
"Or we'll climb up there on our own," said Hazel.
And see the monster by ourselves,
cried little Berry. The old mouse nodded as he made his young mice comfortable in their beds. "Very well, then. We will go there in the morning," he said. He spoke as if he knew that sooner or later all young mice will try to see the dark at the top of the stairs. In the morning, as early sunshine lit up the cobwebs in the corners of the cellar windows, they set out on their journey.
Let's not talk about the monster, whispered Cobb on the third step up.
I won't mention it if you don't mention it, whispered Hazel.
I won't talk about the monster either,
laughed little Berry, who hadn't learned how to whisper yet. After 7 steps, they stopped once more. There was excitement in their eyes, and the young mice hardly dared to look up, for they were closer now than they had ever been to the dark at the top of the stairs. I wonder if it's really, really real, whispered Cobb.
You said you wouldn't talk about it,
whispered Hazel.
I hope the monster knows we're coming,
cried little Berry. On the 10th step up, only 2 from the top, they paused once more. Hazel turned to the old mouse and whispered, What is the monster like? Is it the most terrible thing anyone has ever seen? Well, we don't have far to go now, the old mouse said, and climbed the last 2 steps. After him came Hazel and Cobb, and finally little Berry, who said,
I don't see any monster at the top of the stairs.
Then something happened. The young mice crept into a crack of light. They saw a monster shadow move toward them as smoothly as a cloud, and something breathed out softly one strange word. The young mice did not wait to say goodbye. With wildly beating hearts, they went. Bumpity bump. And slippery slide. And double bump. All the way to the bottom of the stairs, where they landed in a wriggle and a heap before making a dash for warm, safe, wonderful home. At the end of the day, the old mouse came to ask his young mice what they would like to do tomorrow.
I would like to go to the acorn tree, said Cobb.
I would like to visit our cousins in the cornfield, said Hazel.
I would like to swing backward and forward on the long grass,
said little Berry. But none of them mentioned the dark at the top of the stairs. The end.
That cat wouldn't be a monster to us, but it was a monster to the mice.
If I were a mouse, I'd definitely be afraid of cats.
Well, there must be something that you're afraid of, Kino. Isn't there anything?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I'd be afraid if I ran into a big scary animal or something.
Well, being afraid of some things can protect you from getting hurt because then you're more careful. Is there anything that scares you? How about you, Michael?
Tornadoes?
Ooh,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty scary, Michael.
How about you, Rachel?
The spiders are one of my... They're pretty scary, too.
Yeah.
And I used to be afraid of sleeping outside in the dark. But I'm not now.
Well, me neither.
Hey, Kino, it's getting late. We'd better set up the tent.
Oh, yeah. Hey, come on. Thanks a lot, Mr. Alexander.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Thanks, Lucy.
Okay.
See you, Michael. See you, Rachel.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Good luck.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think it was probably just a squirrel or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What was that?
I don't want to know.
Who's there?
It's just me, boys.
Me who?
Me, Lucy. I just thought I'd read you a bedtime story. I think this story will keep you from being scared out here, even though I'm sure you're not scared at all.
Nah, we're not a bit scared.
We're not scared at all.
Of course not. But anyway, I think you'll like this story. Okay, let's scoot over. All right. Okay, let's get comfy here, okay? All right, here we go. Now, it's called Night in the Barn, and it was written by Faye Gibbons with pictures by Eric Ingram. It was darker than dark that cold fall night. The stars hid behind windswept clouds, and the moon was a here again, gone again eye. Bet you're afraid, said my big brother Willie to me and our city cousins Julius and Dan. Bet you're afraid to spend the night in the barn. Not me, said Dan. Not me, said Julius. Me neither, I said. So we gathered up sleeping bags, snacks, and coats and headed for the back door. Our dog, Amos, was waiting there, his tail patting a question. No, Willie told him, grabbing the flashlight. You can't go. You'll eat our food and drool on our sleeping bags. I gave Amos a goodnight hug, then walked out to the porch and down the stairs. My breath was a fog in the frosty air. Moaned the wind through the orchard trees. Rustle, rustle, went something in the garden hedge. Just a possum, Mike, Willie said to me and started to run. Yeah, I agreed, but I hurried to catch up with him. We all slid to a stop at the big barn door, where the shadows were deep and the wind was cold. Want to go back? Willie said. Not me, said Dan. Not me, said Julius. Moaned the wind. So, you ready? Willie asked. I could feel him looking right at me. Sure, I said. The barn door creaked when Willie lifted the latch. It groaned when I pulled it back. It banged when the wind slammed it against the wall. I leaned into the barn to show how brave I was.
It was darker than dark in there. Though moonlight oozed through cracks and gaps all around, I stepped inside and froze. In a far corner, 2 glowing eyes looked straight at me. Squalled the neighbor's cat as it shot between my legs and out into the night. Ghosts and monsters lurked on every side, ready to lunge and pounce. Then Willie clicked on the flashlight. In the dancing circle of light, the ghosts and monsters turned into boxes of canning jars, stacks of lumber, and pieces of furniture. We tiptoed through the barn, inching across the uneven floor. I swung around when something touched my ear and slapped at a dangling spider web. We crept up the sloping steps to the loft, counting every stair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moaned the wind through the hay in the loft. Sure is big up here, said Julius. Sure is cold, said Dan. Sure is dark, I said. We spread our sleeping bags side by side next to a bale of hay and crawled in with all our clothes on. We told scary stories, ate cheesy Krispies, and made shadow figures on the wall until the flashlight began to dim. Guess it's time for lights out, Willie said, clicking off the flashlight and laying it on the floor. That's okay with me, I said, but the barn turned dark again and night sounds crept in close. Came a call from the far side of the pasture. Julius turned on the flashlight. Shut that off, said Willie. It's just an owl. Then scurrying noises began, chittering through the hay and skittering across the floor. Dan fell over Julius and me, trying to get at the flashlight. It's nothing to be afraid of, said Willie, taking the flashlight from him and turning it off again. It's just mice. I know that, said Dan. But it was darker than dark, and the wind moaned through the barn. Something pinged on the metal roof. Something gave a spooky tap, tap, tap. Then something made the scariest sound of all, a shivery, whiffling snort. We all dived for the flashlight. Somebody got it, and somebody dropped it. Oh, no, I whispered as the flashlight clunk, clunk, clunked down the steps and hit the floor below. Willie grabbed my arm. Mike, did you leave the barn door open? He whispered. Me? I said. But there was no time to argue. Something was shuffling across the floor below. Something was snuffling up the steps. Something was coming straight for us in the loft. I saw a shadowy shape just as it leaped at Willie and Dan and Julius and me. We all screamed together. Then something dropped a flashlight on my nose and said, "Ruff, ruff." Amos, I cried, turning my face away from our dog's wet tongue. Down, boy, down. Amos squeezed in between Willie and me and sniffed at the bag of cheesy Krispies. I wasn't scared, said Willie, turning on the flashlight. Me neither, said Dan and Julius together.
I emptied out the bag of cheesy Krispies for Amos. So, you ready to turn this dumb thing off? Said Willie. Sure, I said, curling up next to Amos. In the darkness, I heard Willie curl up to him, too. The end.
That was a good one.
There wasn't anything in that barn to be afraid of at all, was there?
No, there wasn't. And there's nothing to be afraid of out here either. But of course, you know that, right?
Right.
Sure.
Well, listen, I brought a couple of good bedtime stories for you to keep tonight, okay? The first one is called Under the Moon. And it's a story about a girl who pitches a tent in her backyard for an overnight and awakens in a beautiful and magical place.
Wow. Just like us, except she awakens in a different place?
Mm-hmm.
She was dreaming, right?
I guess you'll just have to read it, huh? And my other pick is called Darkness and the Butterfly. And it's about a girl who's afraid of the dark until a wise old woman and a butterfly help her.
Thanks, Lucy.
These sound great.
Okay, well, listen now. Have a good night. And remember, keep a story in your heart. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
What was that?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Oh, man. Are the real woods gonna be this noisy?
I'll be right out, boys. Leave me some room out there, okay?
Oh, okay, Dad.
We got your sleeping bag all set up and everything. Next time on Storytime, Lucy takes Kino and his friends camping. For real.
Today's Storytime books are Turnip Soup by Lynn Myers and Christopher Myers, illustrated by Katie Keller. The Dark at the Top of the Stairs by Sam McBratney, illustrated by Ivan Bates. Night in the Barn by Faye Gibbons, illustrated by Eric Ingram. Under the Moon by Diane Sheldon, paintings by Gary Blythe. And Darkness and the Butterfly by Anne Griffagoni. You can find these and other books at your local library.
Storytime is made possible by the grant from Helen and Peter Bain, so that families everywhere can share the joy of reading with their children. Storytime is a production of KCET Los Angeles.